Hi, everyone. Welcome to this COPE podcast on AI emerging dilemmas. I'm Marie Soulière. I'm head of editorial ethics with the open access publisher Frontiers and an elected council member with COPE. I'm here with Hong Zhu, the senior director of AI products and innovation at Wiley, also a COPE advisor and a scholarly kitchen chef.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Hung and I will discuss today the various emerging dilemmas with the use of artificial intelligence in scholarly publishing. In early July this year, we hosted together a COPE forum on the topic, and it became quickly evident that COPE members had a lot to say about this subject, and we ended up having to close the discussion with over 20 unaddressed questions and comments left. So today we'd like to address some of these questions and go over the main themes that emerged from this exchange that we had. The first thing I noticed really was how for the last 2 years, there has been a strong focus on reacting to the sudden surge in use of AI and ensuring the ethical use by the authors. And now the questions we saw are really shifting to the responsible use of AI by reviewers and publishers. Is this something you noticed as well, Hong?
Yes, this is what I observed, noticed as well. So AI is not only used to help author to draft the paper, but also help the editors, reviewers better and quickly review the papers now. So from the quality checks to detecting the research misconduct to matching the manuscript with the reviewers. AI is basically reshaping how we approach the peer review. So we can see as the AI technology become more sophisticated and the governance and the policy are established and the human gain a better understanding of AI. So industry focus response use of AI in peer review by harnessing the AI's potential while preserving the human judgment. But we are also seeing the ethical and the quality concern of AI used in the peer review, such as bias, transparency, integrity, etc.
Yeah, we're really seeing AI introduced in all the different aspects of publishing, and even in our lives. After the COPE forum, I used a proprietary AI myself to summarize the unanswered questions from the forum. And what came out were really four main themes, which we'll touch on today with some specific questions that came up as well. So we'll start with the subject of AI tools and the detection of AI use. That was really something that a lot of people wanted to know about. What are we to do about this? So Hong, could you start by walking us through some of the main tools for detecting AI-generated text and images and their limitations?
Sure. And for text detection, there's more than 50 AI detection products tools now crowded the market. So there's in the three categories: the commercial detectors like the Turn-In, Grammarly, Copylist, Winston AI, Original.ai, and the publisher. Another category is publisher builds the tools such as Wiley's AI generated content detector, embedded in Research Exchange, the platform, and also Spring Nature's, the Capital, and also there's the free open source options categories such as Detect GPT, and then the Hugging Face detectors, Scramble, etc. And for image detection, there's also the several product. There's less product in the market, and such as Image Check, Image Twin, Profit, etc. And all this, the kind of the detectors, and they have especially for the text-based text detection, there's in the three type of solutions. So one is a machine learning classifier that learns the patterns through such as sentence structure and grammar in the AI versus human writing from examples. But usually this update usually the struggle with the new models and also as a black box. And there's another type of the solutions is word signature, and then the list that the flags, the specific phrases from AI model, such as my knowledge cut off, etc. And as an AI model, but this is something which originally generated by AI, but it could be easily defeated by the lighting, the editing. And the third type of solution is about to measure the humanness, the metrics that check whether if the text is too predictable or robotic. So because this is a kind of we want to check is this is a AI this is a text is a more like human style. But this is also can be easily edit and then make this more like human edit. So most of the current detectors are reactive. So they need the training data from the new large language models and also struggle to separate AI assisted from the AI authored. So it's kind of the fragile accuracy is showed. So beyond this reactive the detection layer, initiatives such as the new initiatives such as Project Origin and also Google the Things ID. So they try to embed the provenance watermark directly into the generated content to trace ownership and the data the misuse. But this also has the other challenges. It's really the success really depends on how widely the industry adopt this. This is a new initiative, this is the standard, new ideas, and also it's easy be the tempered, this kind of things.
Yeah, it's really important for anybody using these tools to remember the limitations and especially on the accuracy and also the bias in the training sets. And despite these limitations of detection, there's still a lot of editors that are using the tools, or even without tools, they get a sense of whether they think a paper has been written by AI. As you were saying, if the text seems too robotic, or if certain words are used, or if they get multiple papers from the same author that sound very similar. And they wonder what to do when they suspect authors have used AI and did not declare it. So that's a question that comes up very frequently, and it was raised at the forum discussion in July. So I'll try to answer that to the best of our knowledge at the moment, because there is no official guidance from COPE or from others on what to do. But with our years of experience, what we would recommend is a balanced approach at this time, especially given that the detection methods are very limited in their accuracy. So the important is to start by querying the authors, not accusing. You can contact the authors in a very neutral tone, noting that the features of the manuscript are consistent with Gen AI assistance, and that as per the journal policy, they should clarify whether they did use the tools in the preparation of the manuscript or to prepare the images. So for example, to be very specific, you could write, we note some stylistic features in the manuscript that are consistent with generative AI assistant. In light of our journal's policy, could you clarify whether any such tools were used? And if so, please update your disclosure statement. That obviously requires that your journal has an AI policy. So that's something you should make sure that every journal has by this point with the ubiquitous use of AI in the world right now. So that would be the first step. The second is really to encourage transparency. So you have to make it clear that the aim is transparency. At this point, I would recommend to avoid rejecting individual manuscripts based just on the suspicion of undisclosed AI, unless there is conclusive evidence of policy violation, other serious misconduct. Because AI-generated text in itself is not really enough to justify rejection and labeling the authors with misconduct. This being said, you can proceed proportionally to the evidence that you have. So if there is evidence of repeated non-compliance, especially if you contacted the authors before for such cases, then you can directly reject the papers if need be. You can also consider escalating to the institutions or ethical committees if there are serious cases. By serious cases, what I can think of, for example, would be if you receive 4 papers in a couple of weeks from the same author that appear to be AI generated, and they might be in different fields or in fields where the author is not an expert in. On this scale, this would fall within the realm of misconduct, and these articles should be rejected, and it's likely worth contacting the author's institution as well.
Yeah, that's a good approach. And in case like this, I think you can try to dig deeper if you suspect that something is wrong. So papers generated by AI by the bad actors or the paper mill companies will always have other features that you might be able to detect beyond the AI generated text. So that may be for example, undisclosed conflict of interest, maybe the problems with the data, authorship, or manipulation in the images. You can also check the reference in detail to see if there's any irrelevant or if self-citation or citation to individual are too numerous, or identify the torture phrases on your authorship, author publishing behavior. The authors publish, the many papers in different areas, different disciplines in a very short time. So basically, we look for the other clues beyond AI generated.
Yes, that's really a good approach to take a metered approach to not accuse authors, but then look for other signals, other signs of misconduct, and in those cases, take action more strictly. And this actually leads us nicely to another theme that is about transparency, disclosure, and accountability. So what everyone, I think, in publishing wants right now is transparent and responsible use of AI. And this requires disclosure and accountability for the use of AI. And what should authors, editors, reviewers, and publishers disclose regarding the use of AI?
Right. Okay. So if we start with the authors, so now publishers almost all have the policies on the use of AI and the disclosure. Researchers have to go beyond their worry about their paper will be ejected if they disclose that they used the AI to write part of the text or generate images. So there's several surveys showing the majority of researchers are now already using AI. For example, the Wiley's explanation survey and the Cactus recent survey, etc. So one I learned from this is one big misconception, and that is using the AI equal to the kind of the misconduct. So this fear creates hesitation and that prevents the transparency. But in reality, so the real risk isn't disclosure, it's hiding. So the hiding creates the distrust, and disclosing builds the trust. So publishers frankly they cannot afford to reject the AI-generated text, but it's becoming more the norm. It's better at this point to be more transparent, and any use beyond the Grammarly and other papers writing tools should be the share. Many publishers like the Wiley and the Frontiers have disclosure statement required in the submission system now. So beyond the authors, already from the COP guidelines on the use of AI by publishers back in 2021. So there has been the requirement to disclose the use of AI. So publishers use AI to recommend the reviewers or scan the articles for issues. They should declare it openly. Again, this is more than the norm, than the exception now. And there should be the less taboo and the more openness about this. And so the more the controversial the use right now is for the peer review. There's a very little guidance for reviewers and editors and the publisher on AI in the peer review, especially, and the many are struggling with this aspect.
Yeah, that's true. There were comments on this during the COPE forum in July, and it was noted that often reviewers are not aware that they should not be uploading manuscripts to external AI tools to generate a review for them, because this actually breaches confidentiality. You're not supposed to be sending these manuscripts to these external AI. The tools could ingest the content of the manuscript in their database, and that's a big no-no and really a big breach in confidentiality. To protect against this, the initial reaction from a lot of organizations and publishers has been for the last year, I'd say, to tell reviewers to just not use AI for peer review. I guess it was an easier message to prohibit the use entirely than to have to explain that you can use your own AI or AI provided within a publisher platform, for example, to help you do peer review. It's really if it is shared with an external AI. At the time, the concept of proprietary AI was not as common as it is now. Now it's fairly easy to create your own ChatGPT version or to get access to these tools in a way that is that protects confidentiality. So the message is evolving now with publishers also starting to integrate more and more AI in peer review to support as tools in their platforms. But we still see regularly cases of reviewers who upload manuscripts to general ChatGPT and other tools to get a report. And this still is misconduct and should not be done. However, it should not scare people about using AI to support in writing review reports. I think researchers and editors are concerned about the use of AI to just do a quick review without an actual peer with the right expertise doing the assessment.
That's true. And there's concerns. For example, AI can generate the misinformation and for example, the false inaccurate output due to the error or limitation in training data and the hallucinations, disinformation. So they deliberately the AI generate misleading content. And because large language models generate a response based on the patterns, not facts. And also, as you said, upload the unpublished manuscript in the public, the available generative AI tools could possibly violate the trust and the privacy. And also, how do we interpret and validate the AI result, AI and AI recommendations? And on the other hand, we start seeing the emergence of AI review assistant that can help the reviewers structure their report, highlight the key strengths and weaknesses, assess methodologies and novelties, and even help editors interpret the reviewer's feedback. So no matter how advanced the AI is, the human and the AI collaboration will be the heart of peer review.
True. And if we link this back then to our theme of transparency, disclosure, and accountability, this is about being very transparent about all the ways AI is already supporting peer review and disclosing when new uses appear. I think already the knowledge of where it's already being used would be very impressive to a lot of researchers. And this will ensure accountability in the long run. So reviewers remain accountable for the peer review, whether they were pointed towards a specific problem with a paper by an AI or not, as long as they really do the analysis on their own and they assess what has been given by the AI. They have to stand by the statements made there. It is easy to be carried away and use a generated report and put your name on it. And this is what publishers creating tools will need to be very careful about to ensure that the reviewer still does the actual review and is accountable for it. Similarly, for the editors and publishers, they remain accountable for the decisions on manuscripts. And this was part of the original guidance from COPE on AI decision making. AI cannot be making final decisions to accept or reject manuscripts. AI is not an entity that can be accountable for such decisions. So the humans behind it are always accountable. And this is the core of now the third theme of questions that we received, which is the responsible and ethical use of AI.
Absolutely. And many wonder where the limits should be drawing on the AI use in writing, reviewing, generating images, translating, and handling data, and also from the technology side.
Yeah, the most thorough guidance I know of at this point is the one that was provided by STM with their 2023 guide to generative AI in scholarly communication. And they have a more recent classification of AI use in manuscript preparation where they are inviting feedback so they can determine with the research community what is acceptable or not. It captures some very specific details on what the scientific community would consider reasonable, acceptable in terms of the use of AI in writing, generating images, and what should be disclosed as well. So I'll just walk us through 3 very specific examples that are very common questions that we tend to receive. So the first is the use of AI as a basic author support tool to refine, to correct, and to edit or format the manuscript. This is what you would achieve with basic functions with Copilot in Word or Grammarly. Then these are permitted uses and they don't require disclosure. That is generally accepted by everyone. However, if you use Copilot or Grammarly or ChatGPT that go in a way that goes beyond this, for example, to create part or all of the text in the manuscript, using AI prompts for this, asking AI to expand on your text, also generate machine summaries of other papers to put in your article in the introduction. These are all uses that go beyond the basic author support tool. And this is a gray zone right now that STM guidance is inviting feedback on because the tools are evolving so quickly as well. There are new features released in Grammarly, Copilot, and all of these almost weekly or monthly. But for most publishers, this is currently permitted with disclosure. So you should mention that you have used these tools with this intent and to write the full article, but it is permitted, again, by most publishers, if you check the author guidelines for more details for each publishing houses. The third example is one where AI use is not permitted right now. It's for the alteration or manipulation of original research data, images, or results. That is problematic, especially if it is presented as though it is original rather than generated. If we exclude fraud and people using AI on purpose to create fake papers, one reasonable example I can think of to illustrate this would be that you did several experiments in your lab, you did many gels, many microscopy images, cell images for your samples, and you don't have everything you want to show in your paper in this one image, this one perfect image for your paper. It is very tempting then to use AI to generate a merged image or a new created display that has everything you want on it. But you should not do this. This use of AI, for now, for research articles, is not permitted. For everything in between these 3 examples, again, these are all gray zones. So STM is trying to work with the scholarly community right now to define what we collectively believe is ethically suitable in terms of responsible use and disclosure. It's a space that's evolving very quickly, also with the tools that are evolving so quickly and the technology. So that's probably something you experience daily, right, Hung?
Yes, absolutely. On the technology side, so there's a constant development and new generative AI tools released, but focusing on the transparency and accountability. So in my experience, and the development and the innovation team that I work with have clear guidelines for the creation of the responsible AI. So designed to ensure that our solutions are ethical, respectful of the privacy, and align with our mission as a scholarly publisher. We recognize that with the rapid technology innovation comes the heightened responsibility. So that's why we insisted on the rigorous documentation of data source. We need to track where is it from and how can we use it, and the model, the parameters, and the decision-making process throughout every stage of the system, the development. And so our team members are encouraged to critically evaluate the potential impact, both positive and negative, of deploying AI tools in the workflows. We do auditing of our AI system, AI as a product for potential bias, reproducibility, and fairness. And we actively seek the feedback from the users and the stakeholders, even from ourselves, to continue to refine our practices. So ultimately, our goal is to set a standard for responsible innovation, building AI solutions that serve the academic community with integrity. So by embedding the transparency and accountability in the core of our technology strategy, we hope to foster the trust.
That's really a great point, and I think you hit on something crucial there. Trust. It's really is the bedrock of scholarly publishing. All the layers of publishings are embedded in trust. And it's been interesting and frankly a bit concerning to see how the rapid adoption of AI in our space has unsettled a lot of those foundations. Researchers and publishers have always relied on established processes of review and verification to ensure quality and credibility. And with AI tools now supporting with everything from writing papers, creating images, integrity checks, peer review support, there's understandable anxiety about transparency, authorship, and the potential for bias creeping in and perpetuating problematic practices. And on the one hand, at the beginning, I think a lot of us were quite excited about the prospect of AI being able to help take down language barriers. Neither of us are native English speakers, and we were hoping in general that this would democratize many aspects of publishing, helping authors with translations, alternative text generation, speech recognition to help authors overcome language and accessibility barriers and to improve quality of publications overall. I also thought for reviewers, AI would be able to recommend more varied reviewers from other regions than the standard networks of the classic editors from the high research output countries. And I think this is still a positive point of AI that we should not forget. There is still the concern of ensuring accuracy of translations and the concern of AI may purposely or inadvertently refine content and ideas in ways that will alter the content of the research. And this is a question, we got during the COPE forum as well.
Yes, this is indeed part of accountability, and authors need to carefully review and verify that any AI-generated translations or content refinement. Editors and reviewers then provide an additional layer of validation, and there's a responsibility there as well for developers of these translation tools to try to focus on the accuracy and the not hallucinating the content or references. So there's a synergy needed there.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're being asked to reconsider what trust means in this new scholarly landscape with AI. And I know how we rebuild, and I think how we rebuild and reinforce that trust could be the most important challenge facing scholarly publishing in the new age of AI.
Totally agree. And also we need to rethink of the collaboration with the involvement of human AI interaction. So the best outcome emerge when the human remains at the center of the loop, guiding and validating AI as a true thought partners, where AI can filter, flag, and surface insight. Human provides the judgment, accountability, and the contextual understanding that ensure the quality, ethics, and trust in the scholarly record. And one more point that we need to be able to move forward with more confidence is governance with strong policies, oversight, and boundaries. So that's why the ensuring the publishing wide level the policy, like what the CORP and the STM do, and the publisher level AI policies and the technology teams layers of policy and the governance is a necessity. So, but remember that no one has to start from scratch with this. There's already a lot of the leading companies that have the standard you can be inspired by, like the IBM and the Microsoft. And the European Commission have the strong AI policies and the recommendations that publisher can look at as well.
Thank you for that, Hong. I think we're going to wrap up now. Thank you all very much for listening to this COPE podcast. And just to note that there is a dedicated COPE focus page on artificial intelligence on our website, which you can access by simply searching for COPE Focus AI. And we will add the link of this with the podcast. It includes our latest COPE forum discussions from July, guidance from COPE on authorship and AI, guidelines on AI decision-making and publishing. There's also a discussion on AI and fake papers, and a lot more free resources that you can access there as well. COPE is also considering writing guidelines with Hung and I on the use of AI in peer review to provide this additional resource for the scientific community. Thanks again for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.